Hello and welcome to Maxim Foods Inside Track. You'll have to excuse the scarf today. Game 1 of the State of Origin series. Very much a Queensland crowd here in the office today. A splattering of blues that are copping it, but we're all very excited for the biggest 3 games of the year, and number 1 starting tonight, so go the Maroons. Let's have a look at the dairy industry on the New Zealand-Australian side of the globe. In New Zealand, there is a forecasted 0.5% drop on milk solids on what was a robust year last year. So, yeah, reasonably flat milk for the season, but demand has been evenly spread across the globe, where China has been a little bit absent. Last night, Southeast Asia, Middle East and North Africa picked up the slack on whole milk, and with a 1.7% rise. In terms of a short to medium term outlook, we've got the new season milk coming in August-September, so supply will be more robust, but demand seems to be holding up quite well, and it has been on an incremental rise in price for whole milk since mid-March. So yeah, short to medium term we still see flat to firming pricing. Moving across to skim milk powder, so last night we saw an increase on the GDT, so in the Australian New Zealand market it still has been floating around 5-year averages over the last 6 months with a reasonably flat outlook, but it was positive to see an increase last night and some more demand globally. In the US we've seen a spike in pricing there on the CME for non-fat, a bit more export demand out of Central South America, and also some good demand domestically for them. So non-fat on the up in the US. In the EU things are relatively dormant, not a lot of activity on skim, so as a result pretty flat pricing. In terms of an outlook for skim, yeah, we believe in the New Zealand Oz market, reasonably flat outlook. Obviously butter skim still quite an attractive mix for processors to make, so you would suspect that supply will remain reasonably good for skim, and demand about quite even as well, so a flat outlook for skim milk powder. Moving across to butter. Butter fat, as you know, has been the high performing commodity of the dairy world in the last 6 months. Both have been on an upward trajectory since December of last year. That continued last night with a reasonably flat result, but a positive one on AMF and butter. To put it plainly, demand has been solid globally. Middle East have been hot to trot with AMF demand as well. So demand's been healthy, supply on the wane for New Zealand butter and butter fat, so hence we've seen that firming of pricing over the last 6 months. In the US, butter pricing still firm, and that continues to be the case, and with the outlook to be quite firm there as well. In the EU, reasonably flat, yeah, not as firm as what we see in New Zealand and the US, but still robust over the 5-year averages. In terms of the one anomaly that we've got at the moment, a bit of excess cream in Australia, so we have seen a bit of a disparity between NZ and AU pricing on butter. However, that gap seems to be closing as the AU processors run through their stock. Having a look at cheese, so globally cheese has been quite competitive over the last 6 months. There has been a bit of an imbalance in supply and demand. So we still see quite competitive pricing on the export market for cheese across New Zealand, Australian, European and US cheese. However, we do see a general firming across the board with that supply diminishing and demand holding up. So pricing gently firming in New Zealand and Australia. In the US we've seen some higher pricing on the CME over the last 3 to 4 weeks, so some firming in US cheese, and EU relatively stable. Finishing off with whey, lactose and the proteins. In terms of sweet whey powder, not a lot to report there, a reasonably flat market. On lactose, we've seen some upside there in the US with pricing, and generally globally a bit of an uptick in demand has meant pricing has firmed a little. In the protein side of things, the whey protein, WPC and WPI, still that imbalance in supply and demand. Supply down, demand still firm, so pricing firm. A tricky one to pick on the protein side, such a volatile market, but we do suspect, short to medium term, quite a firm outlook. Well, thanks for listening to today's Inside Track. Just remember, wear your maroon tonight. Go the Maroons.
Go the Blues.